This video is a bit different. Usually I talk about game dev tips and lessons, but today I want to share my story. Because for years, gaming was my favorite thing to do in the world. It felt productive, fun and even meaningful. But at some point, it stopped feeling like it was enough. And when I tried game development, I realized something crazy. Making games made me way happier than playing them ever did. Like most guys, I have played a lot of games and spent a lot of time in those games. My approach to gaming was that I wanted to build productive and efficient things. So that would be in Minecraft. I built all these farms like iron farms, concrete farms, villager trading halls, creeper farms, whatever I could make to then sell to players or use myself. And in games like Factorio, Satisfactory, I built assembly lines that could make so many resources that I would never know what to do with all of them. I always had this drive to improve myself, but at the time that was just improving in the virtual world. It felt like I was improving, but really I wasn't. So after a while it didn't really feel that productive anymore. Like I was just wasting my time. And that time could have been spent on so many better opportunities. I could have made so many more friendships, connections, deepened friendships, and imagine all the real life skills you could have learned with that time. Like I could have learned programming and video editing so much earlier than I have already done. Instead, I transformed it into a sort of way to de-stress, relax and for entertainment. Which then didn't really work out, because when I was improving in real life, gaming instead led to being a sort of escapism. A way to avoid hard problems and hard things I needed to actually get done. I instead gamed. I wanted to make something real. After literally a decade of gaming, I saw all these cool mechanics and features in games and I was like, damn, that is so cool. I really want to make something like that. Like most other people, I had my dream game I wanted to make. I wanted to make a game similar to Factorio or Satisfactory, like an automation factory game. But I had no idea what I needed to do to get there. So I started wondering and asked myself, how are these games actually made? Like, how do I make a character walk? How do I make a bullet come out of a gun? How do I create this amazing level that people can parkour through? And as all people, I started by watching tutorials and courses. I started by watching Brackeys and CodeMonkey, and I watched these kind of small tutorials on how to make specific features, and I combined that into one game, a platform game, which was basically my first game. Not really, but kinda. But then CodeMonkey released his course called Kitchen Chaos, which was a cooking kitchen co-op game with a 10-hour single-player part and then a 6-hour multiplayer edition. And I followed both, but it took literally an entire year to complete those two courses. It was worth it in the end. It took way longer than I expected it to, but I'm really grateful and proud that I did follow through with it. And during that and after that, I started, of course, my own projects. Starting your own project at first is really hard, like everything else is, basically. Everything you start is gonna be hard. But in game dev, you start with literally nothing in an empty Unity scene, and you have to build something out of it. But I think the challenge in game dev is really important, but it shouldn't be too hard, because then you won't be motivated. But it shouldn't be too easy either, because then you won't be motivated either. So you have to find a balance in between of, is it challenging enough, but not too easy. To compare game dev to gaming does immediately hook you with the level ups, with the progression, with the tools and armor, NPCs, dialogues, quests, everything just hooks you immediately. Which then compares to game dev, which is completely different, where you work for an hour to get a basic feature working, and then you don't really like the way it turned out, so you work on it for another day, and it kinda is the way you would want it to be. This is basically delayed gratification versus immediate gratification. It is quite a big difference. Game dev feels a lot better afterwards. It feels great after you've worked on that and fought for that. Meanwhile, gaming's kinda reward just lasts while you're gaming, and then kinda disappears afterwards, and it might even feel worse afterwards. And game dev is hard in the moment, but it feels great afterwards. Like solving bugs and creating these things gives you a different form of excitement and reward. It's a realization of, wait, this feels different. This actually feels good. It doesn't just leave an empty void in you. But what really turned everything around is the realization of I can create these experiences. Finishing a feature, fixing a bug, or making straight up the full game gave a real sense of purpose. Like actually seeing something work, seeing these conveyor belts move items forward. It wasn't in a virtual sense, like building an iron farm in Minecraft. Sure, it kind of felt good in the moment while I was building it, and I knew that, okay, I'm gonna get all these resources that I can sell and use, but it never felt truly real. Because the happiness from game dev is very temporary. It might feel good in the moment that, oh, you did something good, and yeah. But when you shut down the game and you go and do something else, it feels like you kinda just wasted a bunch of time. I accept that I did what I knew was best at the time, which was gaming. I didn't know this whole world of that I can create things. Because gaming is a lot of fixed rules. It's just, this is a story, this is what you can do, and there's nothing much more to it. Which can then be compared to the happiness from game dev, which is a totally different thing. It usually feels hard in the moment, or a lot of time you even enter flow state and it can feel good. But either way, when you finish a feature or a game, it feels great for hours or maybe even days. And you decide the rules of what you want to do and what you want to accomplish and what you want to make. It's really a free form playground. When you work with game dev, you fight for that happiness. Through the bugs, the setbacks, the confusion and the tutorials, you really work your way through. And you learn and you see what is wrong, what is right, you fail, and that is a very important part. But now knowing that I can create these games instead of consuming in gaming makes you realize that you can't ever really go back to gaming like you used to. Like, I can still enjoy gaming, but not in the same way. If I'm gonna play now, I'm gonna play some social games with my friends. I will play like Peak or Repo, but some weeks I never play anything, and other weeks I might play a few evenings, because I have realized what real purpose and happiness actually is, and I can get that from creating things. Making games feels way more meaningful, like you can actually put something real out into the world, and from that you learn real life skills. Like in gaming you just get better at the game, but in game dev you build these real life skills that you can use in other areas of your life. But probably the most fun thing about it is that you can go to any person and be like, yeah, I make games, and that's a pretty cool thing to be able to do. Because building something that lasts is way different from gaming. If you spend 5 years on a Minecraft server and it shuts down, yeah, all you did is just gone. But if you build a tiny piece of software or a game, you have that piece of software and it's yours forever. Even if Steam were to shut down, you still own that game and can distribute it wherever you want. And one of the most powerful things is the identity and self-worth it builds within you. The self-trust in that you can get things done. That is very powerful. It's just a cool thing to be able to do, to build a game. So it builds confidence within you that, yeah, I'm a cool person, I can do this if I want to. It doesn't only apply to game dev, it applies to any sort of creation, whether it be writing, art, music or anything else. If you watch this entire video, you probably are a bit of a gamer, and maybe even a game dev, or want to become a game dev. I'm not saying you should stop gaming, even if you maybe want to cut down on it. I think gaming can have a great impact on you, if you use it right. If you use it to de-stress, find inspiration or socialize with friends. The message is that you should create more than you consume. Be a creator, not a consumer. I wish you the best of luck, hope you have a great day, and I'll see you soon.